and welcome to this week's episode of Next Level Real Talk Podcast with Sheldon David and our awesome special guest, Sarah. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Glad you're here. Glad to see that smiling face. It's
So
always good
glad
to
to be
see it.
here.
And full disclosure, if anybody happens to not know, Sarah's my stepdaughter. So
Yep.
Mhm.
so there's
hmm
bias. there's
Yeah.
going to be a big love bias built into all this. But anyway,
And I've been very blessed to know her for when did I
yeah,
come
long
over?
time,
Yeah.
long
When I
time.
met you, and we visited there in San Francisco. It's like so I've
Oh
known you for
man,
years. So it's kind
It's
of
a long time.
that
Yeah.
was a long time ago. So it's
That
like
was.
that was
so.
holy
Yeah.
But
smokes.
Yeah.
yeah. So we're gonna get into Sarah's little story. She can talk a little bit about her. And before we jump into it, let's do a little quick jump back to our last episode was "Don't Yuck on Your Yum," and we talked about listening to understand or learn, and not to respond or react, and then always be aware of your habits. Of what you're doing. And so, if you get a chance to look for it, go back, listen to that one, and we got some book opportunities for you to read, look at. But now, we want to get in and talk to fun conversations with Sarah.
Yeah, and also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that
Mhm.
stuff down there if you guys enjoy what you're hearing. So we appreciate that. Sarah, so how's things been, Sarah? You got your hands full here lately.
Yeah. Things have been crazy. It's a wild ride, as you guys know, but maybe those listening don't. I have a 4.5-month-old little girl named Penelope. So my life has changed drastically in the last few months. And it's been all the things, right? It's beautiful, it's crazy, it's emotional, it's everything. So I think it's bringing a lot of things forward.
Mm-hmm.
That you don't realize are kind of still in there, layers to
Yeah.
yourself that kind of come out in that experience. And so I think in some ways doing this podcast around this time is kind of interesting because I think there's just a lot of things that I can talk about that are layers of myself that are coming forward to be
Yeah.
revisited, I
Yeah.
guess, at this time in my life. So,
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's kind of and it's interesting. It's like we talked about having you on over a year ago, I think.
right.
And then it's like okay, it'll come up, whatever, right? And then when you got pregnant, I was just like, does she want to be on while she's pregnant? Like maybe because I'm all like, yeah, you know that, right? I'm like, I don't know if you want to like, is that going to stir stuff up while you're
Yeah.
talking?
I'm like,
And
I don't have the emotions coming out.
you're sitting there, and I'm like, should I wait? And I never actually shared that with you, but it was part of like,
that's funny.
maybe I'll just wait. And then, obviously you get your hands full in the first couple of months. You're just like, oh man, it's adjustment. So then it was just like, you know what? It feels like they got this place, and maybe I'll just ask her. so
Yeah.
maybe
I
the
mean,
timing was perfect, obviously.
I was gonna
Right?
say
Here we
timing's
are.
perfect. Yep.
that was literally what I was going to say. I think the timing is perfect. And it's kind of funny that you say the word perfect because as we were kind of doing this meditation prior to coming on, I was kind of just like, what is this supposed to be for me? How am I supposed to move through this podcast? Like, what's going to come up? Because
Yeah.
I haven't really, I'm trying not to overthink it, which is hard for me to do. That's kind of my nature.
Yeah.
But perfectionism kept
You
coming up
are
for
your
me.
your mother's daughter.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
out of that one.
Me
It's
too.
true. It's true. And we've kind of talked about
Yeah.
similar things
Yeah.
recently, spending more time together. We've had these conversations and I just feel like perfectionism comes up a lot in my life and it
Mhm.
has come up cyclically in my life since I was very little.
Mhm.
So it's just kind of funny that you immediately are like, this is perfect. And I'm like, that sounds like a dream to me. I love perfect. You
You're,
know,
you're like, you're in my wheelhouse.
this is what I'm aiming for, right? But yeah, it just kind of felt coincidental. But yeah, I feel like that might be a little bit of a theme for me
Yeah.
Mhm.
today, and hopefully,
Yeah.
kind of unpacking some of those layers as to why that's ever present in my life. And I think in a lot of ways, um, it's something that I still struggle with. But I think having a daughter, those are the things that you want to kind of clear out so that,
Sure.
Mhm.
she's not stuck with the same.
I mean, and even saying that having a daughter and you want to clear stuff out, that is a perspective, right?
Right.
That I know that you have and your mom has for sure about um, being the best version of yourself for your daughter.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, that's the simplest way to put it, right? We could get all
Yeah.
esoteric and talk about lineage healing and stuff like that, and
Yes.
the sins of the father are 7 generations, and blah blah blah. And there's all these, energetic things that if you don't heal it, it can you transfer it to your kids. All, but
Mhm.
simply put, it's just, hey, we want to be the best version and best parent we can be for our child, right?
Right. And
And
I think there's something sticky about that though, because
yeah,
it's like in having this kind of perfectionistic attitude, wanting to show up as your best self for your daughter can kind of feed into that.
there you go,
So it's this
exactly right.
really,
It's like, woo.
it's like this really tricky position because it's like, it's beautiful and you want to do it, but how are you
You get
like,
stuck in it, like you
yeah,
said.
how are you showing up in a way that doesn't feed into exactly what it is that you're trying to? Because
So
I mean,
yeah.
being a parent is hard and you want to do it a good job. And so then you're like, is she eating enough? Is she growing okay? Or is she hitting her milestones? How were her naps today? And like you can get really bogged down by
Mhm.
all the minutia.
Yeah,
And I think that's something that has shown up for me. And thank God for the internet. It has taught me a lot, but at the same time, it can be a place to go and sort of doom scroll about all these things that
yeah.
you're worried about.
Double-edged sword. It can be
Right.
both, right? It can be
Yeah. And I
reassuring and
think
comforting, but it can also be like, "Oh my god, blah blah blah. Most kids nap for 10 minutes and mine only did 11," or whatever, right?
exactly, you're really breaking it down. And I think something that has come up for me more recently in like the last, I would say, month has been trying to get back to my own intuition, right? My own
Mhm. Yeah.
instincts around being a parent because every baby's different, every family's different, every relationship's different. And it's nice to have some reassuring information on the internet, but at the same time, they don't know your kid like you know your kid,
No.
right? They
It's
don't
good.
know your
No.
situation.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It's good to have an idea. This is what you want. I mean, raise a baby, make them good in society, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
That's what I got to do. Everyone is different. And you being the perfectionism person, like
Yep.
you don't have to be perfect. There's going to be mistakes. And maybe that you don't want to show that kid everything's so perfect. No, things happen. So
Right.
it's okay when those things happen. So it's like, that's kind
Yeah.
of like what you're learning quickly. Like when I got my child, my daughter, she was 7. She was 6, 7 years old. So I
Mm.
wound up adopting her. When I married Kristen, she was 6 or 7. I learned quickly how kids follow because Kristen said, "Watch what you say." I'm like, "Whatever." Oh, that came out quick. Things I said. I'm like, "Why is she saying that?" She goes, "Because you said that." Oh, so they do follow you. So you want them to see you who you are, but you want them to see the real you, not the
Right.
fake you. Which is sometimes we try to go, "Oh, this is all perfect. I can't do this in front of my child." Well, yeah, you can. As long as it's not hurtful, it's okay.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think that authenticity is really important, right? And then
mhm.
kind of what we were talking about before this podcast, Sheldon and I was like, there's this fear of like, oh, what's going to come up and am I going to say the right thing? And I think when you try to clean it up too much, it's loses its authenticity, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
kids pick up on energy. And I
Yep.
think if you're putting on a mask,
Yep.
Yeah.
inherently they're going to feel that. And what does that mean for them, right? As they grow up.
It's kind of like the
Yeah.
ultimate mirror in a weird way, right?
Yeah, totally.
You
And
want to teach them it's okay to be you no matter what you are. It's
Yeah,
okay to be you.
right.
It's that.
and it's a mirror, but it's also the ultimate inspiration for you saying, "Hey, I want to be the best version of me." Woo, that's hitting me somehow.
Yeah, yeah,
That's hitting me.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
yeah.
What
It's
better
such a,
reason to want to be the
children
best
make us
version of
be the best
yourself
version of
than
us.
for your
Yeah.
child, right?
yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. And I think,
yeah.
with having a kid and stuff, it's so life-changing and it can be something that you are in survival mode with a lot of the time at the beginning.
mhm,
So it's really
Mhm.
hard to kind of take those moments to reflect.
mhm,
But I felt like I was getting really heady
mhm,
in this
Mm.
first few months. I
mhm.
was always in my head. I was thinking about things, trying to anticipate what's next and be one step ahead. And, there's a lot of anxiety and very like brain level
Yep.
connections. And I wanted to feel more into my heart and drop down into my body. And I felt kind of like this head on a toothpick, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely needed to get things like written down and get things out and have reflection. And I felt like that was something that was missing in the early days because no fault of my own, like you're just in survival. You're
Yeah.
just trying to get through
Yeah.
the day. You're
I
lucky
mean,
if
you
you
literally
brush your
are
teeth or,
survival mode.
Yeah.
And you're
So
and you're not getting the chance to enjoy the journey of that part because you're so stressed out and so in your head. You're like, "No, but let me hold this little baby and not worry so much about the little baby." Worry
it's so
about it, but not
true.
overthink that you're like, "Wait, I missed the first 2 months because I was so freaked out." It's like the little details.
It's so
So,
true. Like someone said to me actually at work the other day, one of my clients, she was like, "It looks like you're just really enjoying this first stage of your first child's life." She goes, "I never got that with my first child. I only felt
mm,
that way with my second child because there was a comfortability of having done it before that I was able to kind of enjoy it a little more. Whereas the first
mm,
time felt so anxiety provoking that I was just like, oh my God, is she going to be okay? Is she breathing? Is she sleeping? Is she,
mhm.
all the things. And I was like, I don't know if it's just the ballet persona that I'm used to just kind of, I said, trust me, those feelings are there. I was like, I
The
feel
freak
honored
out
that
is there.
I was like, I feel honored that you think I don't have that, but I definitely have that.
But that's cool on your side that you're able to basically have that feeling. You're still there, but you're not so stressed that people see it. And
Yeah.
Penelope doesn't see it. I mean, I know only 4.5 months, but Penelope is seeing things. And so
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
it's good that you just have that, which helps in even more helps the relationship of you and Mason. It kind of
Yeah.
helps that whole family thing, which is
Yeah.
really
Well,
Yeah, I think having a partner that's so helpful too allows me, like, he knows my tendencies, right? So, like, when I get to a point where I'm really stressed out and I'm in my phone and I'm having a deep conversation with ChatGPT, and like, you can tell that I'm not there anymore. He's like, maybe let's put the phone down. Like, maybe, like just inviting you to maybe try a different way here. And I think that was helpful to me because even though I kind of want to be on the defense when I hear that, where it's like, but I want to know the answers, and I'm trying to do the right thing, and I want to be on the defense, but the reality is, like, something I feel I've valued in myself for a long time is my connection to my body and my
mhm,
ability to
I was
trust my
just
instinct and my intuition. I think it's a strength that I have. And
100%.
I was way off that path
mm,
in
mhm.
this parenting journey at that time. And I think I needed a little bit of that reflection to acknowledge it within myself and kind of like switch gears.
And how cool is it to have a partner? Awesome to have a partner who's you trust, and
Yeah.
obviously he feels okay to say, "Hey, how about you put the phone down and come back to us?" Or
Yeah.
not in a mean way, but in like,
Right.
"Hey, you've gone down this road. Let's kind of get you back." And as you said, you're a little defensive, but it's like, "No, I'm not defensive. I ain't. You always will be." But it's like,
Yeah.
"I'm glad you got me back to me." It's
Yes.
kind of that's cool. I love that you have that, and that's something that hopefully all can look for.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
symbolic of that you guys have a beautiful relationship, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That, doesn't mean it's not, like Dave says, doesn't mean it's not gonna like spike a little, like woo, for those moments,
Yeah.
right? But
Totally.
that you can also say, you know what, I know that he has my best interest
Mhm.
in mind and
Yeah.
all that. I was gonna say you had mentioned the connection to your mind and body and all that stuff, because you've been a dancer and a mover your whole life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to me, it's like you've always had that sort of instinctively, almost, even if you
Yeah.
know what I mean, that
Yeah.
there's this connection, this whole thing is connected somehow. And how does that express itself, right? Through movement and blah blah blah. And that's something that a lot of people don't have, right? They disconnect.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
Mhm.
that Ken Robinson, do you remember that? Do you know Ken Robinson? That he does that TED
I
talk
don't
that's got
think
like
so.
14 million views. It's the one about
Oh.
art. It's the one about dancers.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. It's the woman who's the choreographer of Cats, and he tells that
Oh.
story about, and he's a professor, and he goes, I'm a talking thing, and my body's what got me from one conference to the other.
Oh,
He's
wow.
just like, I'm like a rambly. He has this really hilarious description of his brain, like on a stick, like you were saying,
That's
and my
exactly
body just
it.
gets me to the meetings because
Yep.
all I am is the brain, and
Right.
but people aren't all like that, right? And you're not one of those for sure, right? But there are so many people that I think have a hard time connecting. I think Carla, I don't know, I'm sure if she said that, but your cousin,
Yeah.
right? Her whole, I mean, I haven't talked to her in forever, but you look at her Instagram and stuff, it's all about learning how to connect to what's in your body and your feelings and stuff like that. And I feel like you've always been really dialed into that, right?
Yeah. It's really interesting because it's like, as you're saying that, I think there's truth to it, like I don't think I knew that I was connected to my body until I got a little bit older and I started kind of exploring different ways, through Tamalpa and things like that. I was like, okay, maybe that connection is there.
Yeah.
But I also do think that, like, with a ballet background in particular, my head is always kind of a little in it too.
Yeah.
And I think that was something that I struggled with at Tamalpa. Tamalpa is this like somatic arts program that I did not long after high school, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say you were pretty young.
Yeah, it was.
18-ish,
Yeah, it
17 or
actually
something.
was a long time ago when you think about it.
Yeah.
But it was life changing. I met the most incredible people. I got to, connect with my body in a way that I never had before, because it's not dance,
Yeah.
right? Dance is a part of it. It's one of the ways in which we kind of move through the workshops and the experience, but it's not inherently just a dance program.
Yeah.
And it's not like a technique based program. It's
Yeah.
a very move what you feel what you move, and it's more exploratory. So that was really hard for me.
Yeah, the whole point of it, right, was to get you to connect to how you're moving is how you're feeling and integrate all of that, right? Am I right?
Yes.
And then to draw it too sometimes, right?
We drew it, and then there was times that we did writing as well. So it was really a lot of different layers to it.
Yeah.
And I think I was just really challenged in particular because I thought, oh, the movement will be the easy part for me.
Yeah.
I thought that would be kind of inherent to who I am, and it's what drew me to the program in the first place. But I don't think I foresaw that it was going to be so challenging for me because it wasn't structured, and I was used
ballet's
to
very structured.
Yeah, I was always kind of like, even to this day, like choreography is my biggest challenge because I'm always in my head about, does it look good? Is it perfect? I don't really know if it's portraying what I want, and then I get really bad, like kind of like writer's block, but with movement. And I get super stuck. And I've always said, like, tell me what to do and I'll do it. I'm very that way as a dancer.
Give me a script. Give me everything. Yes.
Like, tell me the movement. I'll put it on my body and everybody's happy,
Yeah.
So having to move from a place of emotion, feeling, intuition, and not be heady about it was like nearly impossible at times. Really hard for me.
But that was the whole point of it, right? It's connecting all of that for you and
Yeah.
freeing all of that up so that you could explore what was in there, right?
Yeah, totally. I just noticed a lot when I was moving, like there was times where you were moving as the whole entire class, like everyone's moving independently in the same space, but everybody's kind of just doing their own thing. And then there was times where we had like half the people would be up moving and half the people would be observing. And as we know, science has proven time and time again, once you're observed, everything changes, right? And the performer in me is like, what does this look like? Does this look weird, or does this look okay, or does this look pretty? I want it to look good. And
What are
I
they
just started
thinking about
noticing.
me? Yep. What are they thinking about me? Forget about them. What am I doing?
Judgment, right? Yeah. And then you're into like a whole different experience, right? It's no longer just genuine authenticity and like feeling. It's very heady at that point. And I think that was something that I really struggled to clear. And I think I couldn't say that I have fully cleared it. Like it's something that's still ever present, but it helped a lot.
Sure. I don't think, it's like we all have our tendencies.
Yeah.
Right? Some of us are mental, some of us are emotional, some of us are whatever. Everybody has a tendency for how they approach things and look at things, right? Your mom is talking a lot about patterns, right? She's seeing patterns and patterns and patterns in how people behave, how people think, how people react. And we all have patterns. We're all creatures of habit.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the things you're seeing, right? Is these tendencies. They don't go away, but when you see them clearly, then you can understand how to use them to your benefit when it's a pattern that you're in that's good for you, but also when it's becoming inhibiting in some way, right? And restrictive. And then, hey, maybe I need to do something to break out of that pattern. But you can't do that if you don't see it first, I think.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I think, for me, it's like, I think I've always had this fear of being judged, or how people perceive me was very important to me. Like, especially in high school, like I felt I mean, that's a challenging time for anybody because you're going through so many changes. You're kind of trying to figure out who you are. But I think I was always trying to like curate this version of myself that I
Yeah.
wanted, that I felt comfortable with people seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to keep that up, right? You know, it's hard to constantly be, you know, I saw this funny video on Instagram recently where it's kind of like a stream of consciousness that this guy is sort of talking to himself. It's about opening up, right? Opening up in a group, and when you go home and you have that vulnerability hangover, and he's like, "This is a PR nightmare," you know. And I thought that was so funny because it's so true for a lot of us that
Yeah.
you're like, you go home and you're like, "Why did I say that? Like,
Yeah, what did
that
I
was
just
too
do?
much.
Yeah.
Like, I let them in, and now they're gonna think something different of me than what I want them to think." And I do think like the performer aspect of myself is always wanting this like really curated, put together version of myself to walk through the world.
Mm.
And I think that can be really hard, like I said, to maintain. And it also brings up a lot of anxiety about feeling like you're not really enough if you just show up in the way that you are authentically, right?
I've always said, and it kind of comes up when I hear you talking about that, is that's why I say like relaxation, profound relaxation is one of the highest spiritual achievements because most of us in the world are not. Because what you're describing there, you know, this performative aspect creates a tension in you, right? Because you're on in a way.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you have to be on, or you're presenting a certain aspect of you. It might not be the whole you, it's just an aspect of you. Like, I want you to believe this about me, so I'm going to say this and act this way, right? Especially, I think, you know, for women in our society, you know, you guys get judged in some ways. Guys do too, so I don't want to say not, but women definitely have, right?
More.
You know, more of that aspect. So,
Yeah.
you know, especially in high school as kids and stuff like that, it's really a hard thing to break through. But as you kind of ground into that, right, you just get more relaxed, I think. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, you know, it is what it is. I can do this, or fine, you know,
So
whatever.
I am, and I'm okay with it.
People are think what they think, you know.
Yeah.
I'm doing it, you know, whatever. I'm just going to throw the hat on and go out the door. I don't care, right? And that becomes a sort of relaxation, which
So,
is
Sarah,
refreshing, right? And it's easier said than done.
Always.
always,
With
talk about it all the
everything.
time. So, Sarah, you talked about fear of judgment of others, which we
Yeah.
all do. We're all in that. So I'm gonna try and go a little deeper with that.
Yeah.
And it sounds like with you in your myself, but it sounds like you too. We have our own judgment of ourself. It sounds like you would judge yourself. Like, I want them to see this, so you're judging you to make sure they don't judge you. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? So
Yeah.
how do
You know,
how do you get out of your, like you said, how do you get out of your headspace whenever you're there? Is there an answer to that, or
it's a really good question.
okay?
I think I'm
We
like,
can come
I
back to
wish
that.
I had this like go-to technique that I'm like, I just do this, right? But I don't know if I have that. You know,
Okay.
that could be something that I could create some sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just
No.
that's good. You don't have a thing. It's just like you just know that you're processing. Okay.
I think I'm just. It's still with me, right? I think as you get older, there's a part of you that kind of just naturally settles into yourself. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm not comfortable with myself in any capacity
yeah.
and I struggle to walk through the world. It's not like that. I do feel like I am relatively grounded in who I am. I think there's just this like presentational aspect of myself where like when I walk out the door, like even if I'm going to Target, it's like I want to feel like I look put together in some way. That doesn't mean a full face of makeup, but I want to feel like I'm presenting myself in a, I don't know. It's so
Yeah.
odd because it feels a little performative, and I never run into anybody and nobody knows
Even
who
the
I am.
casual is a very specific casual.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
And that's funny. Yeah, because you said it right, hit it, nail on the head right there. It's like, I didn't run into anybody. Who am I trying to impress? This person who doesn't even know who I am?
Nobody knows
know?
me. Like,
No.
and they're never going to see me again. And
They just see you. Yeah. So
Just
it's allowed
see
to just
you.
be me. Yeah.
And I was talking about this with my mom recently because it's like we talked about like wanting to have a really tidy house, right? For example.
Mhm.
And I spiral out of control. Like if someone's coming over, I'm like, baseboards are dirty. And like, and it's like, no one cares. Like, why am I freaking out about this? But I feel as though it is a representation of who I am as a person on some level.
Yep.
Right. And I think if people come into my home and they see it's really messy, or they, for some reason, they think it's not put together, I feel like they're judging me, not the home, but me as the home keeper. Right. And I feel that way. I think about myself. If my hair's all crazy, or if I looked unkept, or like if I look tired or something, it's like I feel that that's a judgment on some part of my character or something. Like,
Yeah.
You, the essence
yeah,
of you.
the essence of me. So it's like I want to be perceived as like I've got it together and things are good, and I don't know. So
Which we want to look nice and together, but it doesn't have to be such a stressful thing. It's just like, hey, just comb my hair, put whatever clothes I want to wear today, and go. It's okay because that's who you are.
exactly.
Sounds like you're going through what everybody else goes through, but it's good to hear it from you. I hate to say it that way. Good to hear it from you that it's like that's life. It's like
Yeah.
it's okay to go through that and go to Target and go like, I'm just going to be me. Sometimes we need to have that. So,
I think something that came up too around it was like, it's okay to want a tidy house.
Yeah.
It's okay to want to look put together. It's not action. It's the energy behind the action, right?
100%.
It's like, it's okay to be like, oh, people are coming over. I'd love to fluff the pillows and kind of get things to look nice because I want that. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Right. Versus, I have anxiety because what are they going to think of me if I don't do that? That's different, right? It's the place that in which you're doing it from.
Yep.
I think.
It's not what you do, it's where you do it from.
Yes.
Exactly.
my
And Sarah,
version
you
of
just said it right there. It's like it's just
perfect.
You're doing it because you want it to fluff up and just hey, the house looks nice. Not
Yeah,
like
it makes me feel good.
it needs to look nice for them. No, I want it to look nice for me.
For me.
Yeah. So
And then there's
Very-
always that line because then we go too far and we
Right.
start freaking, and then we start really do freaking, right?
Yeah.
Because we start and you go, okay, rein it in.
Yeah, you got to reel it back.
Yeah, I'm gonna reel that one back a little bit
Yeah.
because I'm good. We did enough. We did it in a beautiful place, and now I'm
Absolutely.
starting to get worked up.
And it-
'Cause
and it
sometimes
kinda
it
comes
starts in
into-
a good place. Sometimes it starts in a beautiful place. Oh, whatever. And then you slip. It's like a slippery slope, and next, you start spiraling down.
Yeah.
And you're like not in a good place, but you're
Yeah.
like, oh, gotta check.
You
myself
feel it
out.
in your chest. You're like, how did we get here?
Exactly. So that's beautiful, right? You feel it. You feel
Yeah.
it in your body, in your chest.
Yeah.
I've told this story where I would be in this beautiful space, walking through the shop when I was managing the body shop, and I could tell that my heart was open and my energy was open, and I felt beautiful. And I would walk into the shop, and I'd be just walking through the shop, and all these guys are working on cars, and there's pounding going on and welding and blah blah blah, and all of a sudden, bam, 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 and I could feel all the shields going up, and it was battle armor going up, and I'm here for fucking war now. And I would be like, and I wouldn't even consciously know what I saw. And if it was bad, I would just go back to my office and meditate
Reset.
and open back up. But sometimes if I was good, I'd just sort of stop and I could just go, take a deep breath, just sort of, and I'd look around and be like, oh, looks like those guys are fucking off over there. They're just talking. Hey guys. And if I could control my energy and shift it and release all of that judgment and anger, because that was what will come up for me, anger.
There it is.
There's that theme.
There it is.
And then I'd release a little of that, and then I could go up and go, hey, what's going on, guys? And they're, oh, you know what? Blah, blah, blah. And invariably, they'd be talking about work. Yeah, I was going to work on that car next, but I think you told me you wanted that one next, because I would always lay a game plan on what cars I wanted, worked on what order. Hey, did you want that one next? I thought you said that one, blah, blah, blah. No, yeah, I wanted that one. Oh, okay, cool. Hey, cool, thanks, guys. And sometimes I would tell them what I was thinking. I was coming over to yell at you because I thought you guys were fucking off, and they'd be looking at me like that was weird. I said, it's just a brain. Manage your brain. Brain gets weird. Spins out of control. Sorry.
Yeah.
But that whole, I got a little sidetracked there, but.
Well, I think something that's coming up for me when you're saying that is like, do you feel that in that moment, like, what do you feel is triggering about that in that moment? Is it a potential disrespect of you and
100%.
your authority, right, in that moment?
That was what it was. You think you're going to punk me? You think
Yeah.
you don't know
thing.
what you're doing?
The
You
power
think you're
thing,
getting one over on me?
Yeah.
You think blah, blah, blah. And that was what I would have to release.
Yeah.
It's egoic power trippy thing and just say, hey, we're all just trying to get through the day here. Don't worry about
And it
it.
goes back to what Sarah was talking about earlier.
But
They're not looking at you trying to disrespect you. They're just having their conversation. You're going like, they're coming at me.
but I
They don't
think
know
you
you're
had talked
there. They don't
about
know you're there. They're like, oh, I didn't know you were over there, Sheldon. Sorry
yeah,
about that.
yeah,
Our conversation, like,
yeah.
what do you mean? Now it's worse. What do you mean you didn't know I was there? Now you can deeper. There's that.
You want to
Right?
go down that road.
Yeah.
But Sarah was talking about her energy, right? You were talking
Yeah,
about your
feeling
energy,
it.
feeling
Mhm.
stuff in your body,
Yeah.
and being able to do that can become a really beautiful tool for
Mhm.
understanding and connecting when you're in your head and when you're in space, right? That
Mhm.
your body tells you what's going on
Oh, yeah.
if you're willing to listen to the signals, right?
Listen
I
to the
think
body.
that's the
Yeah.
challenge for a lot of people, right? Is that
Yep.
they're so disconnected from their body,
Yep.
they're not even aware that those signals are
Mhm.
firing, right?
Right.
Your body is telling you,
Yes.
but and then people end up getting like sick, and
Or we've all know people where, all of a sudden their face is all intense and everything about their energy is weird and pissed or whatever. And you're like, hey, you okay? And you go, what are you talking about? I'm fine. And
yeah,
you're just like, whoa.
No, you're not.
totally.
Okay. Then
Whatever
they
you
think
say.
they're fine. And you're like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
totally,
You're calling that fine? Right?
totally.
I
I
mean,
know.
we've all had people like that at work and otherwise, right? Where, they're just so disconnected from that in that moment that they're not even aware that they're like literally looking like they're ready to pop.
Yeah.
And it comes in several levels. Like it could be health. Like with me, the last few months is with that blood pressure stuff. I feel so many different things in my body I've never felt in 61 years. I'm like, has this happened before?
Yeah.
But I'm feeling
Mm.
things. So, okay, maybe I need to get water. So I feel different things, and it's whatever it is, or it could be something emotional, as like when I was going through all the divorce and all the life stuff, feeling myself. Okay, where am I today? What am I feeling? So it's kind of different way of feeling, but it's a cool way to feel as you go through life. It's experiencing it. Like we're talking about with Penelope, the first 2 months could have been just like blur, or they could have been like, I want to sit and enjoy this.
Yeah.
So where's that? You feel the body going like, I need to stop and just enjoy. We need to stop and feel our body to know where we're going and what we're feeling. So
Yeah, I mean, I was talking with my aunt Sinead about, contact napping, right? So Penelope will nap on me in my arms throughout the day. Like she sleeps in her bassinet at night, but we don't put her down for naps currently.
mhm.
We have tried, and then it's like a 10-minute nap, and you're like, do I want a 10-minute nap or do I want like a 30-45-minute nap? The difference is pretty stark. So I do a lot of contact napping, and they call it nap trapped, which I think is kind of funny. You can't do
Mhm.
anything because it's like I can't clean up, I can't go make myself food. I have her in my arms, and I think at the end of the day, sometimes I'm like, I feel like I got nothing done. I just feel like I got nothing done today. And Sinead was like, she was holding Penelope at the time, and she was sleeping in her arms, and she said, Sarah, look at this. She's like, you don't get to do this for very long.
No.
Like this is a season, this is a short
Mhm.
opportunity. Like, put your
That's a
show on,
beautiful.
relax, put your feet
That's
up,
it.
watch your show, hold your
That's
baby,
it. Mhm.
and you'll have
'Cause you're
plenty
gonna
of time.
blink and they're gonna be going, hey, can I have the keys?
Right.
Yes.
She's experienced
Exactly.
that, so she can speak from experience, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was just
Oh
kind of
my
a nice
gosh.
perspective to be like, and then I did see something interesting. You see everything online on Instagram, but it was like, I got nothing done today. And then below that, it said, the baby was saying in the baby's mind, like, I had the best day. My mom held me and I felt so loved,
Mm.
and I got to, and it's just a different perspective. Like, this isn't my moment. This is her moment. This is her era. Right. So
Mhm.
just kind of leaning into
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
wow. That's a
Right.
perspective right there. Wow. What is my baby going to remember?
Yeah.
Or feel at that point? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they're not going to remember this in their mind, but all the cells in their DNA, and they're all going
Yeah.
to remember like the feeling of comfort
Feeling of
and
it.
regulation and
Mhm.
support and
Mhm.
love. Like that's the foundation for who they end up being, right?
Right.
So prioritizing that right now over maybe a clean house or running some errands that really just don't matter.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's But again, easier said than done.
Yeah. But that goes back to what we started talking about when you were talking about, just being you and doing it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's like things are going to happen naturally, and it just let it happen. And as you grow, you're like, okay, I learned I shouldn't do that, or I should do this, or this took too much time, or whatever. But you
Yeah.
just do it, go with it, and that allows the child to know that it's all authentic. It's not fake.
Yeah. It's so
So,
crazy. I feel like I have all these thoughts coming in, and it's like, where do I go? But, I
mhm,
do think it's really important as a parent, to say if you get upset or you yell at your child or whatever, things like that are going to happen,
Yeah.
right?
mhm,
It's approaching your child then to say, hey, I was really upset. I'm sorry that I spoke to you that way. You didn't deserve that. It wasn't your fault. I was just
mm,
feeling upset in the moment. And that's.
Mhm.
I think there's something really powerful in that because they see a humility in their
mhm.
parents that they
Yeah.
can say sorry. I think sometimes like an old school behavior is like, I'm the parent. I don't have to say sorry. I'm not sorry for
Right.
anything. Like you're the child and,
Mhm,
Yep.
I'm right, you're wrong. There's nothing you can do about it kind of way. Whereas for a kid, we internalize everything. So we always assume everything is our fault anyway. So for
yep.
somebody to say, like, that wasn't about you, that was about me in that moment,
Mhm.
it's just really healing and really powerful.
100%.
And I think that's something that hopefully our newer generations are doing a little bit more as
So,
parents. You know?
yeah, I mean, and that's true both as a parent, which is where the impact is so great to that individual, right? But you also see that in society, right?
Yeah.
Where leadership is a leader able to say, "I made a mistake," and one of the most
Mhm,
powerful things and empowering things that a leader can do is say to their team, "I'm sorry, I made a mistake,
Yeah.
and I was wrong, and
Yeah.
mhm,
or I lost my temper." I
Yeah.
had to do that bunch of I would lose my temper on my guys every once in a while, especially back in the early days when I was still dealing with my shit, and I'd shred a guy in front of the
Yeah.
whole team, and I
mhm,
knew that you never do that, right? But
Yeah.
I did that to guys, and I'm not, proud of that.
Hmm.
But and I would have I would apologize in front of everybody, bring the whole team together, and what I said to this guy was wrong, and the way
Yeah.
I treated him was disrespectful and wrong. But you cannot. It's hard to repair that damage that you do.
yeah, you can't.
That damage that you do to somebody when you do something like that can take. Oh, it's making me want to cry for some reason because it can take years to repair that one moment, right? Yeah.
The,
So true.
I always, so I want two things real quick. What Sarah's talking about is like when you talk to your child that, in the aftermath, that shows them that, hey, I did, and that how they can react later on in life because it's going to happen.
Yep.
And you may notice in your own self, like I was angry and worried about this situation. I took it out on you because something else, and that's something us as
You know,
individuals go like, am I getting angry at my child because my boss is mad at me, or am I getting angry at my child because the child is upsetting me? What's going on here? So we ourselves have to look at it too. I do used to do when I taught. Uh, we call it toothpaste activity. We go outside. They had a toothpaste, a little thing of toothpaste, a bowl, a toothpick, and I think a fork. That's all I gave them. And I said, okay, take. And I had $100 bill. And I said, I will give this $100 bill to the team that puts all, like they take all the toothpaste out, put it in the bowl. And I said, you get all that toothpaste back in, I'll give you $100. The first team that does it, I'll give you this $100 right here. It's real. So they do it. They're doing everything. It's pretty disgusting what some of them do. It's like, oh, bleh. I'm just like, what are you doing? And, and they go, I did it. I did it. I go, oh, really? So some of them, like, they'll put it in their mouth, they'll spit it back in.
Ugh.
So disgusting. Some kids will take it, they scrape it. Everything's pretty much in there, but you look at the bowl, there's some in the bowl. So
Yeah.
the kid that puts it in their mouth, it looks good. I go, so did you swallow when you had that in your mouth? Well, a little bit, not all of it. I go, so you swallowed. So some of that toothpaste is not back in there. So
Mm.
the goal, the reason for the activity is when you say something, that's when you squeeze that tube out. You said something negative. So now you can never get all of that back in. So when you say something negative, careful because it may never be the same ever again.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say, even if you get it back in,
it,
it's changed,
yeah.
yeah.
right? It's
Oh,
not
that's
back in the way that it was. You could
yeah,
get it all back in, but it looks kind of different,
different.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's so true about who when you show them you're saying something, you got to be careful because you never can get it back the same. But I love how you were talking, Sarah, about just you did it. It's okay. Now be authentic and go, hey, this is what happened because this is life. It's not like well, I can't say that because that's going to show them that that I was wrong. Well, it's okay to be wrong. And that,
Right.
if you don't do anything, that tells the kid you can never be wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Wrong. By the way. So
Yeah, I think there's a fear around like, oh, if I let down that wall, if I apologize, then it's going to undermine my authority as a parent. So
mhm.
I'm just going to grind through and move on, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of that, but I think showing that you're human and that humans make mistakes and apologizing,
Yeah.
it's really healthy for them to see that
Sure.
kind of
Mhm.
behavior. And I do think that it's really important for them to know that it's not their fault, because that was definitely something that I know that I struggled with when I was younger, is like
Mhm.
just assuming, like, and I still do it today. Like if someone comes in, walks in the door and they're upset, I'm like, did I say something? Did I do something?
Yeah.
Is it
Mhm.
me? You just
Yeah.
always immediately go to yourself, because there's a certain level of control you have there that it's just kind of your first go-to step, right? Like, what can I do to make this situation better? Like, how can I control this situation? And I know I felt like that when I was younger. It was like, if I felt like things weren't going the way that I wanted them to, or like family dynamics were messy, it was like, okay, how can I be more perfect
Yeah. You
so
take
that
that
this goes away?
responsibility on. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, if I'm a more perfect child, then
Yeah.
this won't be an issue.
Yeah.
And that spins all the way back to that perfectionism.
Yeah,
Everything had to be perfect.
totally. And it's so heavy to carry that. And it's
Mhm.
also not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you're working so hard, you're climbing up this mountain, and it's like, oh, it's never ending. Like
It's
you'll
false.
never
Yeah.
get there. It's not, you can't accomplish it, you know?
Yeah.
What I like about you talking about, talking to your child and, saying I was wrong, it shows them, I mean, I think between the two, there's new respect. It's not
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm always going to be the wrong when they're going to yell at me. It's like, no, there's a respect. Like, okay, my mom, my dad's going to come talk to me when things
Yeah.
happen, or even when they are wrong, just go and talk to them and say, hey, this is what happened. Not you go do it. You did wrong. Sit in your room. We're not
Yep.
going to talk to
Hey,
you.
Sarah,
Yeah.
question. How, do you think there's anything specific, or how did you come to the awareness that, hey, this stuff isn't true? Because I think that that's something that some people live their entire life and they never actually recognize. You know what I mean? Those are
Yeah.
dynamics and patterns that
Yeah.
people live. And we've said, doesn't mean that you clear it perfectly, right? You still get caught in those things. But
Yeah.
do you think there was something that you said, hey, like a moment or anything that kind of a period or something that
I
you
think
think?
my mom was really helpful for me there, because, I come from a blended family, right? So my mom and my dad split up when I was really young. My dad got married, had a child there. I have a stepbrother as well who's older than me. So there's like all the things that come with being in a blended family, right?
Yeah.
That's already brings challenges forward. And
Complex dynamics, the dynamic that
very
you call
complex
life.
dynamics, right? And I was living predominantly with my mom, but I would spend like every other weekend at my dad's. So it was like I definitely still had a very close relationship with my dad. My dad's household was very present in my life. It's not to say that I like just lived with my mom, but because it was just me and my mom, there was like a certain, and we're same gender, there was just like a certain closeness that you can kind of feel. It's a very safe space, and I was able to talk to her a lot about dynamics that were going on at my dad's house that maybe were hard for me. And I think she reflected back to me a lot of times things that I needed to hear as a child that maybe I wouldn't have heard otherwise, right?
Mhm.
Like, it's not your fault. It's not, this is something that's going on outside of you, and how you show up doesn't change that outcome, right?
Mhm.
And I think she was a really big catalyst for me discovering that. Also understanding, like, having compassion and empathy for things that people have gone through, and kind of learning about projection. And
Mhm.
that was a lesson that I learned from my mom, right?
Mhm.
People have lived experiences that make them move through the world a certain way. And maybe that can hurt you and have negative impacts on you, but it's from their own lens that it's not, you're not causing them to behave that way, I guess, is,
Yeah.
So I think it was really my mom that was,
It's making me emotional.
yeah.
And that goes back
That's
to
beautiful.
what you've learned.
It's
You
true.
learned that from your mom, and you're sitting there now, hopefully going to progress that on to Penelope, and any other children that you have, that's that same thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's okay to be who you are. It's not you.
Yeah.
If it is, it's you. But we always, I had that same thing growing up with my stepmom. She'd always do stuff. I thought it was my problem. I was the bad kid because I was the step kid.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that. I've always thought that. And so
Yeah.
the same thing that you're talking about, but no one ever talked me out of that. It was
Yeah.
just, I was a problem kid. So it's great that your mom did that. And every child needs to know that, hey, some things are our fault. Some things are not our fault, but we can't put that on ourselves. Again,
Right.
know who we are and know where we're coming from. So,
I think there was also this like, I know it's something that my mom has spoken about, and I don't want to speak for her, obviously, but like, kind of seeing the best in people, right? Always giving people the benefit of the doubt and being like, it's just because they were hurt and it's just because and that can go to a bad place too. Like, I think I've seen
Everything's in balance, right?
all about balance, right? Because I think that was really helpful and healing for me when I needed it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And it was like, wow, this makes me feel so much better to know that like it's not my fault that this has happened. And that was like immediately gratifying. It's what I needed to help me maturely move through some challenging situations and family dynamics. But I think as I got a little bit older, there was a part of me that was like, but at the same time, this is how I felt. This is how it made me feel. And my hurt or my pain or my anger or whatever those feelings are, those are valid. And I think there can be like a writing off of your own feelings when you're trying to be compassionate to other people.
Yeah.
And I think I struggled a little bit with that at a time too, where I was kind of indifferent to my own feelings about stuff because it was like, oh, well, it's not intentional. And because it's not intentional means it's so then like my feelings are like kind of not invalid, but sort of
justified or something like
not
that.
justified. And it's like, oh, I shouldn't really feel that way because no one meant any harm by it.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't always mean that the pain and the feelings are not real. They're real lived experiences. So I think getting older, you kind of mature to be like, hey, I forgive you for the things that you said and the things that you did because I know that your intention was never to hurt me, but damn, it hurt. And I'm okay. And it's okay to be hurt. I think
that's a powerful place to be.
That took a long time.
You don't want to suppress it. And if you suppress it and say it doesn't hurt me, well, yeah, it does. You're suppressing it. It's like
it took a long time.
Yeah.
But it takes consciousness. It takes awareness, right? You have to encourage, because you have to be willing to look at that stuff and ask questions about it and talk about it and process it within your own heart, within your own system. Does that make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because so many people, we see them, shove it down in the vault, lock the vault, and go on and press on and act like nothing happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we don't talk about that.
Yeah, and they take it to the grave. Like,
people will take stuff to the grave, and you're just like, bless you.
Not easy.
Let me know how that works out.
And that comes back to our other one about what's in your cup. What's coming out of that cup when you spill it? What's coming out? And that's that anger or upsetness or hurt that's still there comes out.
Yeah.
So, but if you can process through it with that person or without that person, still get through it. It helps.
Yeah.
So, because it does hurt. You got to understand. It's like, that shouldn't hurt me. Well, yeah, that's you. It's okay to hurt. Like Sarah just said, I love it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it takes a long time to get to that point too, because it's like.
Do you think because again, like I'm saying, there are so many people that aren't concerned with looking deeply at stuff that comes up within them. They're just not. Is that something that you think you got from your mom, or you just always were that way, or both, or feels, what do you think?
I think both. I think my mom is a naturally very curious person. She wants to know the why behind everything. And I think I picked that up from her for sure. But I do think like when she tells me stories, like I think I was naturally inclined that way from the get-go, and then being around her and kind of absorbing her, it just solidified it, right? Like I think I'm very similar that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think both.
the desire to look further into the why of how, even if somebody's behavior, how they got to that place or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, like I said, I think initially when you find out the why, there's something that makes you feel a little more comfortable with it, where you're
Yep.
like, okay, it's not just like someone being mean to be mean,
Yeah.
right? It's not just this bad thing. It's like, oh, there's a lot of layers to that. There's hurt there, and that kind of makes you feel a little better about the situation, or it makes
It's a
you
form
feel
of empowerment.
it's a form of empowerment. It takes a little weight off your shoulders that you're
Mhm.
like, oh, okay,
And it
that's
wasn't
good.
you.
It's not me, right? It's not
Yeah.
me. And it's also not them, which feels good too, because it's like you don't want to demonize anybody. So it's like you feel a little bit like, okay, nobody's at fault here. And that feels good. That feels like the ideal situation that no one's at fault. But then when you kind of sit with that for too long, you realize sometimes you're carrying the weight of your own emotions and the emotions of the people
Yeah.
involved in the
Yep.
situation.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
so then it's still heavy.
Yep.
It's like it's a temporary band-aid, but then as you sit with it longer and longer, you're like, actually, I don't know if that fully cleared it, right? Like it was great coping for me at that time to get through that part, but
Important stage.
it's an important stage, but like it's not the full thing,
Yeah.
right? Because then I do feel like I would sometimes feel like the benefit of the doubt and the, oh no, they didn't mean it. Like I'm carrying still a lot of responsibility
Yeah.
for my own feelings around it. And then I'm also carrying them in a sense, right? Because
Yeah.
you're justifying their behavior through, it's okay. I understand,
Yep.
right? Instead of just being like, I do understand. And it is hard. And I'm sure it was hard for you, and nobody's perfect. And I get that. But there is an accountability for actions that needs to happen in order for like true healing
Right.
to really take place,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And sometimes that you might not get that.
Yeah.
But I think
oftentimes we don't. That's the.
So then what do you do?
Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask, right? So then it's like, okay, so what do you, what is for you, like you said, clearing or healing? Like there's a, you describe it beautifully, right? There's this kind of, hey, that helped, understanding and seeing clearly and seeing the patterns and the wounded behaviors and all that is very empowering in a way, right? And it helps you to cope and helps you to clear certain levels. And then at some point you're like, hey, it's not 100%,
Yeah.
I got 90 and I'm pretty happy. But how do I, is there something that you've found that helps you to really release some of the depths of some of that stuff? Or
Yeah, it's funny because it's like you mentioned that one of your cyclical like themes, right, is anger, right? And I think anger was the first way that it showed up for me as not really being cleared.
Yep,
Right?
100%.
Something would be said, a dynamic would happen, and I would be pissed. I'd be angry about it. And it's like, oh, okay, so that's not really cleared. There's something there.
Yep.
Why am I angry?
Yep.
And I think a lot of the anger came from feeling like, hey, I'm looking at my perspective and looking at your perspective and taking it all in and carrying everybody's perspectives and
Holding space for the whole
I'm
fucking
holding
world.
Yeah.
I'm holding space for everybody. Who the hell's holding space for me? Right? And then you get a little bit pissed about that because you're like, wait, you're not holding your end of the bargain. Like I don't feel like I feel like I'm 90-10 here, and I want a little bit of understanding and compassion and love for what I've gone through too.
Yeah.
And you feel a little like there's like an injustice there, and that kind of niggles at you.
Mhm.
So I think honestly, in a healthy way, being okay with being angry
100%.
was really healing for me
Yep.
because it didn't feel like the good emotion or the right emotion to have. Like, oh, it's not good to be angry. Like you should be, you should be loving and understanding. It's like, yeah, but right.
I think especially for women.
Yes.
Especially for women, understanding that kind of fire energy, that's how that anger is a necessary component of burning something to purity, really.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you said, it clears it in a certain way. Anger is like a fire, right? And it burns off what's remnant in that.
Yeah.
And if you don't go through that, you never clear the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that like felt really cathartic for me. to
Sure.
be a little pissed about it. And I didn't have to do anything really with the anger other than sit with it. Like I didn't need to necessarily confront it.
Yep.
I didn't need
To go sit down and we need to have a talk.
no, I
Yeah.
didn't really need anybody else to be involved.
Yeah.
I just needed to be okay with feeling an emotion that was like an icky emotion or
Yep.
that didn't feel like like I said, a good emotion or
Yep.
the right emotion,
Right.
you know?
That's beautiful.
Because
That's
you
huge.
can feel both things at the same time. And I think that's something we get very black and white about. It's like, oh, if you're angry about something, it means you're not understanding of the other person's perspective. Not inherently. I think you can feel both, right?
100%. Yep.
And I
Yeah.
think that was something that was a really big learning experience for me. That I could hold both at the same time. I could feel like, I see where these people are coming from, but I also know how I felt. And I know that that's okay too.
Yep.
You
That's
know?
beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it's the again, that judgment. You could be judging. It's like, no, I'm feeling it. It's okay to be angry as long as you're not at that major level. But
Yeah.
and you process through it. It sounds like you're processing, not talking yourself through it, but going like, why am I angry? Well, because this and that. So it's okay to be angry because they treat me this way. But now I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah. And then showing up differently too, because it's like, when these situations and dynamics show their face again, because they do, that's especially with family, it's like, it's going to happen again. These things are going to resurface again. There's like a certain level of acceptance you have to have, I think, with I'm not the person responsible for changing the people around me, right?
Yeah.
I can't, I don't have that type of power. I just have to show up in a way that feels supportive to me. And that's the only thing that I can do. And I think
That's
there's a
my
little bit of
responsibility.
letting go. Yes. Letting go of that control of wanting to like fix the situation.
Yeah.
Being okay with it being messy is a healing in and of itself.
100%.
It's not going to be, you want it this way. We all want things certain ways, but it's not going to, some things don't turn out that way. Like, okay, I need to make an adjustment. Otherwise, I'm going to be angry, upset, and not be feeling good for a long time. So if you accept it and go, this is what it is. It's a hot mess, like you said. Okay, that's what it's going to be, because I can't change that person and that situation, but I can maybe help them journey through it and get down the road, but I can't change them.
I'm not taking responsibility.
Yes, that's it. Big word. Not taking responsibility.
Yeah, because I think that's like back to what I was mentioning, as a child, you're like, if I'm more perfect, this will be different. That's a certain level of responsibility. You're taking on other people's, lived experiences, emotions, whatever that may be. And I think the healing in it is being like, I think we always think the healing is like, then we had this talk and we came to an understanding and everything changed and blossomed and was better, right? It's like, that's not how healing looks all the time. Can that happen? Sure. Would it be great if that happened? Awesome. But in a lot of ways, it doesn't happen. And for most of us, it doesn't happen. So how can we give ourselves the healing that maybe we're never going to see externally, right? And I think it's just like letting go of responsibility for other people's behavior.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's
beautiful.
Yeah.
Which can be, at times can be easy, right? Where you're like, not my circus, not my monkeys. Like with certain people, it's easier. With people that you're more enmeshed with, like family, it can be really hard to separate.
Super hard.
Yeah. But
that's huge. That's some huge stuff you talk about there. That's cool. Couple of things that are couple of Taoist things that you tripped on. I wanted to bring up. It's like being able to hold both sides in the same time, right? Seeing somebody else's with loving compassion, but also feeling, your response with loving compassion.
Yeah.
That's like the yin yang symbol, the black and the white. When you're in the white, you're fighting the black. When you're in the black, you're fighting the white. But when you transcend, and now you're looking at the symbol from the outside, you can see the black and the white spinning around each other.
Yeah.
You can see them both, and you can see the interaction of both playing, and that's transcendence, right? That's the ability to hold both at once.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is something that we all need to be able to do within ourselves, as you're just, but also within the world,
Yes.
on a macro projected uh, thing. So that's beautiful. And the other thing you were talking about is like, when you can find that stuff within yourself, right? And you're letting go of that need to fix other people or to control or whatever that is, right?
Hmm.
That there's a certain peace that comes within you, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain groundedness that you have. There's a certain ease that happens. And the Taoists used to talk about that being in the center of the circle. It's kind of like being in the eye of the tornado. Like there could be all kinds of stuff going around, and you're just sitting there going, okay. And we had a whole episode on what was it, Dave? The Chinese, the thing about good or bad, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Have you heard that story about the Chinese farmer, Sarah?
I don't know
It's
I don't know if I've heard it.
it's
That's
real
good.
short.
Yeah.
How does it go?
Repeat it real quick. It's good. It's a good
real
story.
short. So it goes, Chinese farmer, a wild horse comes to his farm, and the neighbor goes, "Oh my God, such good luck! You got a horse." And he goes, "Oh, good or bad, I don't know." And then, like 2 weeks later, the wild horse runs away, and he's just like, "Oh, you lost your horse! Such bad luck!" The neighbor says, and he goes, "Oh, good or bad, I don't know." And then like 2 weeks later, the wild horse comes back with 5 horses, his whole herd, right? So now the guy's got like a bunch of horses. And the guy goes, "Oh my God, he brought his whole herd back with you. Such good luck." And the guy goes, "Good or bad, I don't know." And then the son is trying to break in one of the wild horses and falls and gets bucked by the wild horse and breaks his leg. And then the neighbor comes over and goes, "Oh, your son broke his leg. Such bad luck." And the guy goes, "Good or bad, I don't know." And then the army comes around trying to conscript new soldiers for the war, and his son has got a broken leg and he can't fight in the war, so they pass his house. And then the guy says, "Oh, your son missed the war. Such good luck." And then the guy's, "Good or bad, I don't know." So I think that's
Yeah. So you just don't know what it is. Good luck
we
with
don't
that.
know.
Yeah, you really don't. I mean, that's a great representation of life in general.
Right? It's like, hey,
Totally.
we don't know. But
Yeah.
can we hold that space within ourselves? Can
Mhm.
we develop a practice? Because what everything that you're talking about is huge, but it takes practice, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that just happens automatically. It's
No.
something that
I think it's a lifelong practice. Like
100%.
Yes.
I don't think you ever fully. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't. Yeah, I was gonna. I didn't want to say it because I was like, maybe some people do. I mean, but I feel like it's going to be
whatever,
this
asshole. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hey, if you have, you're on the show. Come
Yeah,
on.
we've said that before. Hey, you think you have?
you're
Bring
out
it. Let's
there,
talk. Yeah, we
Hey,
need
we'd
that.
love to hear from
Contact
you.
Sheldon and Dave.
Yeah.
We want to hear
Right.
from you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think it's just going to be like this ongoing thing, right? Because it's like anything. It's like you're like, "Oh no, I've cleared that," and then something comes up and it just like smacks you across the face,
Comes
and you're
back
like,
up.
"Maybe not."
Yeah.
I do think that there's just it's just layers on layers on layers. It's like maybe you've cleared a layer of it, maybe you're getting closer to the core, but I think it's just you're peeling back constantly throughout your life and getting closer and closer to that true version of who you are. But I don't think you just get there in a layer. It's not just a one.
Yeah. And as we said, it takes time. You have to process each moment because some things. Okay, I mentioned before we even started about the 61 and the 58. Okay, because my granddaughter and my ex-wife's age is younger than mine.
Yeah.
Years combined. In the old days, I'd be really angry that they said that, going like, "Why is that a rip?" They were coming at me hard.
Yeah.
But now it's a joke last week. I was going, "Oh, that's kind of funny." But
Yeah.
before, I'd be really angry, come home, be
Offended by
calling crying or yelling or cussing, doing everything. But the process in time, you have to just go through it and just, where am I at? And just as you said, Sarah, feel the body. What am I going through? It's going to process. It's a layer and get there. I mean,
Yeah.
still not there. It's going to take a long time in life. We're 61, Sheldon, but 62 almost.
Some of us are slow learners. I've always
Yeah,
said,
that's
I'm
us on the
a
podcast.
slow learner.
And that's why we're having the podcast to help people get through that slow learning.
Or the fellow slow learners on there.
And Sarah's the faster learner. We're going to go with that.
You got to get the young ones out here, the fast learners, and help us with slow learners along.
That's
Oh, my
hilarious.
I was
my
going to
God.
say, there's when you're talking about those layers,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, the Buddhists have a saying about peeling back layers of an onion. And
Mm-hmm.
when you peel back a layer of an onion, you just get the onion. And so it
Yeah.
looks like you haven't done anything, but you have,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
Because it's gone. That layer's gone, but it still looks the same. And then you peel back, and eventually there's nothing left. And you're in that cosmic oneness or whatever you want to call it, right?
Right.
So then they would say, yes, that's the end. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's a particular teaching I call the Way of Mastery. It's like non-canonical Jesus teaching. How's that a formal way of saying it? It's not in the Bible. It's these alternative Jesus teachings. But he has
Okay.
this beautiful, beautiful description where he says that falling into the return into your true self, into your heart, into the oneness of God, is like a plum, which is like a lead weight, right? For
Mm-hmm.
those who don't know, it's like a plum dropping into an ocean of infinite depth.
Mm. Beautiful.
In other words, it never stops.
Mm-hmm.
It always gets more.
Mm-hmm.
But what it always gets more of is love. The love gets deeper, more powerful.
Yeah.
Uh,
Beautiful. Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. I was just talking to your mom about this the other day. I was when I was in the Navy and I was at the academy, I was in Florida fixing the toilet, the shitter on a sailboat. We got clogged up, and I was responsible for fixing it. So all the guys were partying, drinking beer, and I had a toilet on a dock in Florida with a wrench, and I'm fixing this thing by myself. I was all pissed off, by the way. Anger was the theme. Anger was the theme.
We need like a button for you. A soundbite.
I'm sitting here in shit going, okay, great. And I dropped the wrench. And this is Lauderdale, Florida, and it's kind of Caribbean water. It's clear. And I dropped the wrench. And I remember having that instant where I thought I can dive into the water.
Go into the water. I thought you meant into the toilet.
No.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I'm sorry. Thanks for
I was
good.
like, oh,
water.
The toilet.
Okay.
The
That's
toilet
better.
is on the dock because I've
Got it.
removed it out of the sailboat.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
and I'm gutting it and rebuilding the.
Got
This
it.
is going better. This is going better than I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Same.
I'm on the dock with the planks.
Yeah.
And there's the water there, and by the way, one of the guys did come by and give me a beer, so thank you. So, and then left.
Like that's the best I can do.
That's as much as. So I dropped this crescent wrench into the water, into the Caribbean crystal clear water, and I had this momentary thought where I thought I'm going to dive in and I'm going to grab that wrench, and it went boom like that, and it was down to the bottom, gone, like microsecond, because it's metal, right?
Heavy, yeah.
I for some reason I thought it was going to do this, and just sort of gently sink and rock its way to the bottom. No, man, wham! And so when I heard that teaching that said it's like a plum dropping into an ocean of infinite depth, whew,
yeah.
That just hit me because I remember feeling that, like how fast and how deep and how infinite that felt. But it's like love, so it gets better to the point of how much of that can you handle. And the Kabbalists, your mom studied the Kabbalah, the mystical Judaism, and you know what their definition of God is?
What?
Unbounded delight, or what their definition of what is God's will for you? Unbounded delight. Unbounded delight. And you know who limits it?
Us.
You. So what is your journey? The capacity to open that thing up, to receive as much of that unbounded delight as we can. And there are layers of stuff we got to remove as the process of opening that stuff up, right?
Well, what's interesting is like I remember because you're talking about opening up, right? And I think like in the opening up, things come to you, right?
Yep.
That otherwise, it's like body language. If your arms are crossed or whatever, you're less approachable, things like that. Like I remember when I first started dating Mason, it was the best that I had ever felt, right? You know, you're in love, it's new, it's like you're just radiating this joy when you're like at the beginning of a relationship.
Yep.
We've all been there.
Yep.
And I just remember like more people talking to me and looking at me. And like I just felt like the world was coming to me in this
Flowing in a
way,
beautiful way.
and
Yeah.
flowing to me. And I was on cloud nine. And I think it's because I was putting out that energy of
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm worthy, I feel loved, I feel full, you know, and more of that kept coming back to me. And
Yep.
I wasn't in a perfect
Doing.
place. I wasn't in a perfect, I wasn't perfectly cleared and had all my layers peeled away.
Yep.
I just showed up and felt true to who I was, and people responded to that. So it's like, I think a lot of us think like we have to be, bringing it back to perfect, you
Perfection.
have
Yeah.
to be this perfect version of yourself in order to be worthy of that kind of joy and love and light.
Mm.
And it's like, no, you just have to show up, you know?
Beautiful.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Again,
I
that
just
authenticity.
felt that.
Authentic.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
she's being authentic. You're being
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
Yeah,
And it was like, I didn't feel, I felt like a certain self-consciousness that I normally feel. I didn't feel at that time of my life because I was just, you know, the oxytocin and all the love
Yeah.
hormones, right? Like all the feel good stuff inside of me. Like I didn't feel this self-consciousness. I just felt powerful and strong and good. And
Mm.
I just saw the world respond that back to me.
Yeah,
And I
that's
just think
beautiful.
like how we show up in the world has such a big impact on how the world shows up for us too.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I
So,
like that line right there.
yeah.
Yeah, Dave, write that one down. That's homework.
Hold on. Say that again. How the world.
When
How
Dave
the world.
looks down like that, he's writing notes.
How the world shows up. Repeat that because I was starting to
How
write
we
that.
show up for the world is how the world then shows up for us.
Beautiful.
Right?
Okay. How we show up for the world. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Is how the world. I love
Let
it.
that one sink in for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a great story, and that's true.
It's a great spot to end on that, to do some.
Yeah, I think so.
Unless you have more to talk about. I mean,
I feel good.
I mean, I'm loving that as one of my major notes, obviously. That'll be my last note. Okay. So, yes, I do take notes, Sarah. Just so
I
you
love
know.
that. I love that.
So I'm gonna go through some things, then we can continue talking real quick. But the first thing is careful about judging self, and worrying about being judged. We need to be authentic. That's where one thing you talked about. We just need to be us, and it's okay. Don't worry about how I'm dressed when I go to Target. Kind of, worry, don't. As we talked, no one knows who you are at Target. I could go to Target and not know a soul and think that I'm being judged by every single person in there.
Mm-hmm.
We're not. Humility. Make sure we're humble. Okay, in certain ways that we, like you talked about, with children, being able to talk to them.
Yes.
Give yourself healing. Okay, it's not always going to be perfect. The movie ending, it's okay. It's okay to give yourself some healing, and then holding both sides of the conversation. What's going on, understanding the others. Finally, the last thing is what you just said. Okay, how we how we how we show up for the world is how the world shows up for us, and that's totally true.
That's
And so I
beautiful.
love that. That's the exclamation point on this whole podcast today. So good job, Sarah. Appreciate
Thanks.
that. It's making our job easy.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. I beforehand was very nervous.
You did not show it.
Well, because, my perfectionist, I was like, oh my God, am I going to do a good job? Yes. Oh yeah. I was feeling it. But you guys are so good at what you do, like making people feel comfortable and making it feel really natural. So it was
Well,
very
thank you for
enjoyable.
being you, and thanks for you for being here. So we
Yeah.
appreciate you telling your
Yeah,
story.
thanks for
and
sharing.
Good to see your face in virtual
good to see
reality, I guess you call it. But it's I haven't had the one-on-one talk in a long time with you. So
Yeah, it's so good to see you too.
tell your Aunt Sinead hello. Oh my gosh, give her a hug for me, would you?
Will do. Absolutely.
Love that family so
Ah,
much. They were so
I'm
much fun.
biased, but the best.
They are.
Yeah. We got lucky. We hit the jackpot when it comes to food. That's for sure. So
Oh my gosh, that's
I
awesome.
think Gigi sold me, buy one get 20 or something like that.
Buy one get 20.
oh yeah. It's a package deal
Package deal. Here we go.
for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
so
thank
this has
you,
been
Sarah.
awesome.
We really
Thanks.
appreciate it. We hope people, you've listened and got some things out of this, and make sure you share it, like it, and help others out there. So
Yeah, give us a
yeah,
like.
definitely.
If that's something, and share it with others, because I do think that that can be helpful for people.
Hmm.
I think there's a ton of little nuggets, Sarah, that you put out there. So this
Tons.
has been awesome.
Jeez.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
you have
Appreciate
a
it.
good one. Thanks for being here, and everybody have a great week. Keep that smile on.
Thanks, guys.